Dr. Hajah Rozia Muhammad Janor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International, exercising the function of Vice Chancellor of University Technology Mara. Mr. Fitri Abdullah, Managing Director, Oracle Malaysia, Corporation Sdn Bhd. Professor Technologist Dr. Haryani Harun, Dean of Faculty of Computer and Mathematical Sciences, University Technology Mara, who I am sure is very happy to see the symbiotic relationship between FSKM, UiTM, and Oracle Malaysia. Deans and Deputy Deans of UiTM, Head of Studies, members of Oracle Corporation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, we are gathered here today for a wonderful event, Oracle UiTM Data Hackathon. A little synopsis about UiTM Oracle Data Hackathon. The program provides a platform for UiTM students to enhance their knowledge and skills in mobile application development, data analytics, artificial intelligence. It serves as a unique opportunity to be mentored by industry experts and lecturers. The opportunity to learn more about data science and how to become a data architect. The hackathon will offer the participants the chance to develop further into inspiring challenges and apply their skills across disciplines in collaborative teams. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to call upon Mr. Fitri Abdullah, Managing Director of Oracle Malaysia Corporation Sdn Bhd, to give his speech. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Azhar. Assalamualaikum. Selamat pagi. Very good morning. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Hajah Rozia Muhammad Janor, Deputy Vice Chancellor and also Acting Vice Chancellor for UiTM. Very good morning. Professor Dr. Haryani Harun, the Dean for Faculty of Computer and Mathematical Sciences, faculty members and students from UiTM all over, I think, not just Shah Alam, but all over UiTM. Again, a very good morning and selamat pagi. So I'm very excited, I think, to be here. We've had a few discussions before this a few months ago, and then I'm very excited that we will have this month-long data hackathon with UiTM, working closely with the faculty members and also the students. Actually, in the end, what we want to do is actually have an impact, I think, to the students and UiTM. And as you know, the partnership between Oracle and UiTM has been there for quite a few years. We've conducted many training sessions through our Oracle Academy. We've done a lot of training in terms of Java training and even database training, not only in Shah Alam, but throughout UiTM. And what we are following up this time is actually through Oracle Academy, students and faculty of UiTM are entitled to get free cloud accounts from Oracle. And through that free cloud accounts from Oracle, you get access to a lot of new technologies, cloud computing, machine learning, AI, and all those things. And this whole data hackathon with UiTM is to make sure that I think the students, I think we will have both an individual challenge and also a team challenge for them, I think, to actually get exposed to all this latest technology. And this is also an engagement, I think, from the industry side. I think from Oracle, we are the second largest software company in the world, probably number 6 currently in terms of cloud hyperscaler in the world. So this is an industry engagement, I think, between us and UiTM, and hopefully, it will create a closer relationship. Also, a bit later, we have also invited speakers from MCMC who will share a case study a bit later, and also later from SEMO, from the Economic Planning Unit, to share the My Digital blueprint, the government blueprint for digital going forward. So very excited to have this this hackathon with UiTM. And again, the main thing is to make sure that the students and the faculty are exposed to good latest technologies, and also, the challenge that will go ahead. And I think this is a whole 1 month engagement. So we are very excited. And this is all sort of a voluntary basis, I think, from Oracle. Actually, me pushing very hard on my side. And then a lot of my team members are basically doing it on a voluntary basis. So looking forward to the hackathon going forward. So very excited. And very excited to work with the students and also the faculty members going forward. So that's all, I think, from my side. I think, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fitri, for the inspiring talk. Alhamdulillah. Continuing with our programs, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Professor Teknologis Dr. Hajar Rozia Muhammad Janor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International, exercising the function of Vice Chancellor of University Technology Mara. Professor, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Azhar, for inviting me today. At the same time, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very good morning to Mr. Fitri Abdullah, Managing Director of Oracle Malaysia, Professor Technologist Dr. Harani Harun, Dean of Faculty of Computer and Mathematical Sciences, UiTM. I was told that a few deans are actually also joining us today. Distinguished guests, of course, faculty members, students, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Fitri. After listening to your warm welcome earlier on, I think I'm also excited to actually further on this partnership. Inshallah, we will make it happen. From Haryani, it's your KPI now. It's the ball is on your back. All right. I'm very happy to join you today at this UiTM-Oracle Data Hackathon 2021. It's a wonderful to see so many of you at this event, even if only in a virtual format. We are certainly not letting the pandemic stop us from finding ways to come together and engage with one another. The pandemic has challenged many of our current assumptions and indeed forced us to rethink how we progress into the future. As we listen to what Mr. Fitri mentioned earlier, I can't wait to see how this event will eventually reveal its outcome. All right. As such, this event is another step forward to strengthen UiTM graduates' competitive edge as we consistently strive to nurture talented and industry-ready graduates. Hence, I'm pleased that UiTM's Faculty of Computer and Mathematical Sciences, in short, we call FSKM, together with Oracle Malaysia, have taken the initiative to reduce the talent gap in the fast-developing field of technology. So, ladies and gentlemen, the world of data is constantly changing and evolving even as we speak. We are seeing an exponential growth of new dimensions and hurdles that organizations around the globe have to deal with. For your information, Mr. Fitri, I'm from this faculty. My background is in statistics. Okay, yes.
Good.
Right. So it is undeniably that we have much to learn when managing data with technologies such as Internet of Things. You mentioned it earlier, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and analytics. Data has certainly proven to be a highly sought after commodity to help governments, researchers, and public responses in different countries and regions. And today's event could not have been timelier. UiTM and Oracle need to make the most of both our strength in data and technology that help in adapting and transforming a new and efficient way of working and living. The COVID-19 situation has already altered the world, and as we know it to an extent. We are seeing more digital technologies being used as we go about our daily lives. And as an institution of higher learning, we need to keep on producing graduates as required by a much more volatile, fast-evolving industry. Thus, we need to help our graduates acquire the evolving skill sets that are necessary to meet the fast-changing needs of industries and ensure the competitiveness of our country. Indeed, new talents who can make sense of these technology changes are highly sought after. Universities like UiTM will need to more deliberately pair creativity with leading industry and technology to ensure that our stakeholders can leverage on digital tools that amplify their own innate talents and abilities. And as Oracle mentioned earlier, they are number 2 now in the world, right? So hopefully we can get all the know-how from Oracle. Technologies relevant to data will be integral to this creative transformation. It will also provide both students and academics or faculty members vital exposure from industry professionals. Hence, I hope that through UiTM-Oracle Data Hackathon, participants will enjoy the opportunity to not only showcasing their talents in data application and analysis, but also relish the chance to collaborate with new partners that they otherwise would not have been able to work with. This is a great opportunity. Please learn as much as possible by engaging with each other. Through this event, it is my wish then to see all of us optimizing the opportunity that presents itself in our midst and work together for the benefit of students, as they will be the one to contribute to the advancements of our nation in this ever-challenging digital era. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, and in the name of Allah, most beneficent and most merciful, I hereby officiate this UiTM-Oracle Data Hackathon 2021. With that, I thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the motivating talk and officiating the event. Before moving on to the photography session, I would like to ask to take this opportunity to announce that we will be having a closing and prize giving ceremony on 1st of October 2021. I do hope to meet all of you again for the prize giving session. Please mark your calendars. Now, we would like all to create a memento for ourselves. Therefore, everybody please switch on your cameras and give us your most sparkling smile for our official photographer to snap your photos. Okay? Now, everybody says UiTM-Oracle.
UiTM-Oracle.
One more time.
Oracle. Yeah.
Ada film lagi. UiTM-Oracle.
UiTM-Oracle.
Oracle.
Thank you very much. So,
Ya Oracle tadi tahu
Oracle, yeah. So, we have come to the end of the ceremony. We wish to extend our warm gratitude to our guests of honors, delegates, participants, representatives, foreign and local, to our UiTM-Oracle Data Hackathon 2021. So we close our event with the Tasbih Kafara and Surah Al-Ans. We are going to take a short break and the program will resume shortly at 10 o'clock in the morning. Be seeing you all in a bit. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Can data inspire us to achieve what once seemed impossible? We believe the potential of a data-driven world is infinite. Oceans of information processed in the blink of an eye. Novel approaches to intractable challenges. Insights that fuel breakthrough innovation. Previously undreamed of results. It's all in the data. The possibilities are endless. Researchers identify cures for cancer. Agrobiologists create smart hives to provide food security for the planet. Aid organizations deliver relief faster. Scientists mitigate climate change and utilities provide safer, cleaner energy. New business models build entirely new industries. It's in the data. In a cloud-enabled world, machine learning combines with human ingenuity, and the possible becomes achievable. At Oracle, we help people find the value in data so that they can achieve the extraordinary. Can data inspire us to achieve what once seemed impossible? We believe the potential of a data-driven world is infinite. Oceans of information processed in the blink of an eye. Novel approaches to intractable challenges. Insights that fuel breakthrough innovation. Previously undreamed of results. It's all in the data. The possibilities are endless. Researchers identify cures for cancer. Agrobiologists create smart hives to provide food security for the planet. Aid organizations deliver relief faster. Scientists mitigate climate change, and utilities provide safer, cleaner energy. New business models build entirely new industries. It's in the data. In a cloud-enabled world, machine learning combines with human ingenuity, and the possible becomes achievable. At Oracle, we help people find the value in data so that they can achieve the extraordinary.
Oracle knows our customers are looking for a cloud that offers the enterprise advantage without
Pada internet kita sama.
the next generation cloud to meet the demands of our customers. How did we do this? By eliminating the costly learning curve of other first generation cloud providers. Oracle's Gen 2 cloud infrastructure delivers the best price performance available in the market today, offering low, consistent pricing across all regions and services. Oracle Cloud works to eliminate oversubscribed network resources, delivering unmatched performance and consistency across enterprise, cloud native, and HPC workloads at prices unmatched by competitors. With this high performance at market-leading prices, customers experience a faster cloud for mission-critical workloads. And only Oracle offers universal credits that allow customers access to all OCI services. With universal credits, customers can switch services or adopt new ones without having to notify Oracle. And our Bring Your Own License advantages extend the value of existing on-premise licenses to move to the cloud. Oracle's standard Intel-based virtual machine pricing runs 50% less than competitors. And our AMD-based instances are 1/3 the price of major competitors. When it comes to bare metal instances, Oracle is 45% less expensive than equivalent offerings from other cloud vendors. Exclusive to Oracle Cloud are Autonomous Database and Autonomous Linux, which bring automated patching with zero downtime, improved security, and lower administration costs. Oracle consistently outperforms other cloud providers with compute instances that have 2 to 5 times higher performance. Take us for a test drive and experience the superior economics of Oracle Cloud infrastructure today.
For 60 years, University Technology Mara, or UiTM, has been the place for acquiring knowledge and developing capabilities. From a training center to now a vast network of universities, UiTM has campuses and faculties all over Malaysia. UiTM allows for the pursuing of goals and earning a degree in any field of choice, with a mission to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study, through professional programs, research work and community service, while upholding moral values and professional ethics. Nestled amidst the greenery and some of the most scenic areas in the country, each university campus is strategically located in places where their presence inevitably provides an economic boost to the local community. UiTM pledges to provide maximum opportunities to pursue professionally recognized programs of study in science, technology, industry, business, arts and humanities. University Technology Mara offers quality education at all levels of study, from foundation to postgraduate. The university has always been at the forefront in science and technology, as well as in management. It is a place where talent, skills, and excellence are nurtured. UiTM has a mission to empower the indigenous people through the provision of higher education in accordance with Article 153 of the Malaysian Federal Constitution and Act 173, University Technology Mara Act 1976. Duli Yang Maha Mulia, Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the Chancellor of UiTM by virtue of his status as the King, as provided for by the law. UiTM has established 8 centers of excellence and 1 high COE to enhance the scholastic, creative and innovative capabilities of the university, as well as to facilitate and manage research and development. To complete the teaching and learning activities at UiTM, the university has made available modern and contemporary facilities, such as the UiTM Stadium, the house of UiTM FC. With a capacity of 6,000, the stadium is the heart of soccer, and it has played host to an international match in 2009. UiTM also has an Olympic-sized swimming pool for the use of students and staff. The pool is also open to public on certain days. Built in 1972, Perpustakaan Tun Abdul Razak, or the Pita Library, has grown by leaps and bounds, housing thousands of international titles for all programs of study. Students' participation in extracurricular activities is highly encouraged and supported by the university. These activities would not only equip students with soft skills, but also train them to be balanced and holistic individuals to meet global requirements. As the largest public university in Malaysia, University Technology Mara has produced thousands of alumni who are successful individuals in their disciplines. They are award winners, innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders in both the government and private sectors. UiTM honors its alumni by engaging them to establish smart partnerships resulting in strategic alliances. The alumni also gives back in areas such as academic improvements, charity work, and fundraising. University Technology Mara, Usaha Takwa Mulia.
Can data inspire us to achieve what once seemed impossible? We believe the potential of a data-driven world is infinite. Oceans of information processed in the blink of an eye. Novel approaches to intractable challenges. Insights that fuel breakthrough innovation. Previously undreamed of results. It's all in the data. The possibilities are endless. Researchers identify cures for cancer. Agrobiologists create smart hives to provide food security for the planet. Aid organizations deliver relief faster. Scientists mitigate climate change, and utilities provide safer, cleaner energy. New business models build entirely new industries. It's in the data. In a cloud-enabled world, machine learning combines with human ingenuity, and the possible becomes achievable. At Oracle, we help people find the value in data so that they can achieve the extraordinary.
Oracle knows our customers are looking for a cloud that offers the enterprise advantage without excessive cost. So we built the next generation cloud to meet the demands of our customers. How did we do this? By eliminating the costly learning curve of other first generation cloud providers. Oracle's Gen 2 cloud infrastructure delivers the best price performance available in the market today, offering low, consistent pricing across all regions and services. Oracle Cloud works to eliminate oversubscribed network resources, delivering unmatched performance and consistency across enterprise, cloud native, and HPC workloads at prices unmatched by competitors. With this high performance at market-leading prices, customers experience a faster cloud for mission-critical workloads. And only Oracle offers universal credits that allow customers access to all OCI services. With universal credits, customers can switch services or adopt new ones without having to notify Oracle. And our Bring Your Own License advantages extend the value of existing on-premise licenses to move to the cloud. Oracle's standard Intel-based virtual machine pricing runs 50% less than competitors, and our AMD-based instances are 1/3 the price of major competitors. When it comes to bare metal instances, Oracle is 45% less expensive than equivalent offerings from other cloud vendors. Exclusive to Oracle Cloud are Autonomous Database and Autonomous Linux, which bring automated patching with zero downtime, improved security, and lower administration costs. Oracle consistently outperforms other cloud providers with compute instances that have 2 to 5 times higher performance. Take us for a test drive and experience the superior economics of Oracle Cloud infrastructure today.
For 60 years, University Technology Mara, or UiTM, has been the place for acquiring knowledge and developing capabilities. From a training center to now a vast network of universities, UiTM has campuses and faculties all over Malaysia. UiTM allows for the pursuing of goals and earning a degree in any field of choice, with a mission to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study, through professional programs, research work and community service, while upholding moral values and professional ethics. Nestled amidst the greenery and some of the most scenic areas in the country, each university campus is strategically located in places where their presence inevitably provides an economic boost to the local community. UiTM pledges to provide maximum opportunities to pursue professionally recognized programs of study in science, technology, industry, business, arts and humanities. University Technology Mara offers quality education at all levels of study, from foundation to postgraduate. The university has always been at the forefront in science and technology, as well as in management. It is a place where talent, skills, and excellence are nurtured. UiTM has a mission to empower the indigenous people through the provision of higher education in accordance with Article 153 of the Malaysian Federal Constitution and Act 173, University Technology Mara Act 1976. Duli Yang Maha Mulia, Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the Chancellor of UiTM by virtue of his status as the King, as provided for by the law.
Can data in
Dear audience, we will start our audience shortly at 10 a.m. Stay tuned. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I hope everyone is feeling refreshed after the break. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Afika binti Abdul Sani and I will be your host from now onwards. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box and the host will bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for question at the end. Before I start introducing our very first speaker, let us take a look at video from Oracle.
Inspire us to achieve what once seemed impossible. Can data inspire us to achieve what once seemed impossible? We believe the potential of a data-driven world is infinite. Oceans of information processed in the blink of an eye. Novel approaches to intractable challenges. Insights that fuel breakthrough innovation. Previously undreamed of results. It's all in the data. The possibilities are endless. Researchers identify cures for cancer. Agrobiologists create smart hives to provide food security for the planet. Aid organizations deliver relief faster. Scientists mitigate climate change and utilities provide safer, cleaner energy. New business models build entirely new industries. It's in the data. In a cloud-enabled world, machine learning combines with human ingenuity, and the possible becomes achievable. At Oracle, we help people find the value in data so that they can achieve the extraordinary.
Allow me to start by introducing one of our speakers for today, Mr. Fitri Abdullah. Mr. Fitri has been with Oracle since 2016. Mr. Fitri has nearly 3 decades of ICT industry experience from both local and international perspective. Within the last 18 years of his career, he held various senior leadership positions in several companies such as Masinyagga Berhad, Maxis Berhad, and Hewlett Packard Malaysia, HP Sdn Berhad, which is based in Malaysia. His last position before joining Oracle Malaysia was the Managing Director of Masinyagga Berhad. Prior to that, Mr. Fitri was with Maxis as Senior Vice President and Head of Maxis Business Service, where he was overall responsible for the corporate, government, SME, and wholesale business for Maxis. At HP, his last position was as the Asian Regional Director for the communications industry for HP's consulting and system integration business division, and prior to that, as the overall director of Southeast Asia for HP's consulting and system integration business. Without ado, it is my greatest pleasure to invite Mr. Fitri Abdullah to deliver his insight about Oracle. Mr. Fitri, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Afika. Stephen, can you put my slide deck up? So again, yang berbahagia Professor Dr. Hajah Rozia, I think Professor Dr. Haryani, the Dean for Faculty of Computer and Mathematical Science, and also our special speakers from MCMC, John Tay, and also from SCMO, Economic Planning Unit, Ms. Hailey. I think thank you for joining us, I think, in this hackathon. and also for sharing. I think what we want is actually industrial engagement with UiTM. We will have this month-long data hackathon with UiTM, I think starting today. Today is the opening event. And really looking forward, I think, to make sure that we have this strong engagement, I think, with UiTM going forward. Again, as I said, I think we've had various discussions, and very happy that we are at the opening ceremony. I think a bit earlier, about 9, I think we had that opening with the acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Rosia. And in today's session, I will just share, I think, in terms of a bit on Oracle, and also the objective of this hackathon that we are doing in partnership with UiTM. Can we move ahead to the next slide? So if you look at the partnership with UiTM, it started, I think, in 2015. UiTM is actually our Oracle Academy member, I think, since 2015. And a bit later, Damien, who's our Asia Pac head, I think will share the engagement and the trainings that has taken place. End of last year, we did have 2 events, I think, first December and also about early part of this year. So this is continuing based on this 2 engagement. We will have this month-long data hackathon going forward. Next slide. So if you look at it, part of Oracle Academy is the availability of our cloud accounts for the students and also for the faculty members. So the idea is that this is the configuration that is made free of charge to all students and faculty members. You get access to autonomous database, compute, storage, networking, balancing, monitoring. So this would be the environment that all the students will be able to develop the challenge, both the individual as well as the team challenge. And the main idea is, I think, for the students to get access to the latest technologies that is made available on Oracle Cloud. For example, our autonomous database is the only autonomous database in the world today. We have this leadership in terms of that, and this autonomous database is made available to all the students to get access, and then hopefully during the challenge they will be able to also do some work on our autonomous database besides using new technologies like machine learning and AI and all that stuff. So those are basically, I think, the prerequisite in terms of the hackathon. Can we move to the next slide? So the objective of the hackathon, I think, first of all, it is engagement from Oracle. And in this case, we are also bringing in MCMC, our customer, who's also the overall regulator for the communication industry in Malaysia. And also, we've also invited from SCMO, part of the economic planning unit, Ms. Hailey, on My Digital. That is the digital economic blueprint from Malaysia that was launched in February of this year. So it is important for all of us to understand the importance of the My Digital blueprint, which Ms. Hailey will share a bit later. As I mentioned, I think the hackathon will be leveraging on the free cloud account from Oracle. And basically, we will have both individual challenge as well as a team challenge. And in the team challenge, it will be based on a sort of a smart city challenge, I think, for the students in the team environment to develop sort of a smart city solution going forward. So those are the objective of the data hackathon, and this will be on, I think, for the whole month of September, and the closing ceremony will be on the 1st of October. And these are some of the skills that the students and the faculty members will be looking at in terms of sharpening their skills on research, collaboration, problem solving, and looking at it more similar to the real industry world. Can we move to the next slide? So a bit on Oracle, we are the second largest software company in the world. In terms of overall cloud, we are probably about number 5 or number 6 from a hyperscaler cloud provider. We do provide both the application layer, software as a service on our public cloud, as well as our technology cloud in terms of infra as a service and platform as a service. For some of you, I think, who follow the English Premier League, you would have seen that, right now, when you look at the game, there is that Oracle cloud, and then they will do the prediction in terms during the game in terms of who's going to win and lose. You can see that in Oracle. And then the second one is if you follow the Formula One, we actually have sponsored the Red Bull team, and then we started that this season, and then guess what? They are now leading the F1. I think so. So clearly, I think Oracle is being a bit more, we are more active in terms of marketing promotion on our Oracle Cloud. So in Malaysia, we've been here over 33 years, and our flagship product is our database. And later on, I think we developed our application in terms of finance and HR. The last 20 years, Oracle has acquired many companies, companies like JD Edward, PeopleSoft, which is the leader for HR. We acquired Siebel, which is the CRM world leader. We also acquired BA on the middleware side. We even acquired Sun Microsystem. And if you know, Sun Microsystem was the one who developed Java programming. So that's now part of Oracle, and also many others. So I joined Oracle exactly 5 years ago. And during that time, the focus was Oracle in this digital transformation using our cloud. And these are the projects that we have embarked on with our customers. In terms of HR transformation, we have successfully transformed them to use our latest cloud solutioning for UEM Plus, Agenta, Sunrise. Similarly, for CIMB Bank, at that time was with Tengku Zafrul, who's now the Minister of Finance. So the whole CIMB Bank is using our latest HR solution. Selangor, also our customer, and currently we are busy working with Petronas to transform their HR system to ours, and scheduled to go live 1st of November of this year. In terms of finance transformation, using our latest cloud-based solution, AirAsia, I think our customers for the last 2-3 years, Hong Leong Bank, GHL, MIDF, Tabung Haji, KTMB, Selangor, CIMB Bank on the planning and budgeting, and also DG. So these are our customers who have gone through the digital transformation with Oracle. For SME finance, we actually, through our company that we acquired, NetSuite, we provide finance solutions for SMEs, and then we have over 50 SMEs using our Oracle NetSuite finance solution on the cloud. Customers for supply chain includes Pharma Niaga, so they're using our supply chain solution to help them with the vaccination distribution. So in Oracle, since 2017, we invested into Kuala Lumpur. So Kuala Lumpur is now one of our major hubs for Asia. So we created this hub in 2017. We have over 100 jobs, and then we expanded in 2019. And beginning of this year, we also included a financial hub where we actually acquired 94 people. It's also a major hub for Oracle serving the Asian region. In terms of our CSR, I think number one is through Oracle Academy, where we work with institutional members, just like UiTM, and basically we train the faculty members. We make available our syllabus, our technology to both the faculty and also the students. A bit later, Damien will share a bit more on Oracle Academy. And also the other CSR is through NetSuite. We actually make available free cloud solutions for non-profit organization like Mercy Malaysia, Malaysian Red Crescent. So we make we actually donate the cloud accounts for them to run their financial system on Oracle NetSuite. Okay, I think let's move ahead. So if you look at the ICT industry today, clearly, and including the impact of COVID, there will be an acceleration of digital transformation that will happen, and there will be a bigger take-up of cloud computing going forward. So that's something that we need to be made aware of going forward, and organizations will want to be more data-driven going forward so that they can make that business decision and how they can become more competitive in this global market. And we also know that new innovative technologies as powered by IR 4.0, IoT, machine learning, AI, big data, data science, blockchain, these are all new technologies that will be accelerating as part of the digital transformation. And the view is that I think this will, in fact, be accelerated because of the impact of COVID. Clearly, more automation, I think, will happen, I think, going forward. Also, if you look at the industry, the view is previously big organization will have their own data center, and they probably spend 90% of their IT budget on their own data center systems. The view is by 2025, a lot of these organizations will spend 50 to 60% of their IT budget on cloud-related solutions, be it on the application or even at the technology layer. So these are things that is coming through, and I think it is important for all of us to understand that this is what is going to happen. And then clearly, we need to look at the whole value chain. I think from the students, next generation computer scientists coming out, that they need to be aware of all these changes so that we are all well aligned going forward. Can we move to the next slide? And according to the World Economic Forum, in terms of the jobs of tomorrow, this report came out in October 2020. And on the left side, these are the emerging jobs that will be coming out. So things like AI and machine learning specialists, data analysts, scientists, big data specialists. So these are the new jobs that will be coming out. So it is important, I think, for both the education institution to prepare students for all these new emerging jobs with the right skills. And also, I think important, I think for us to reskill our current workforce to make sure that they have the requisite skills for all these new jobs going forward. So that's very important. The other side is also the view that these are the jobs that will slowly go away due to more automation that will happen going forward. So it's important for us to be, made aware of what is going to happen, and we need to make sure that we have a good plan and execution to make sure that we are ready for the future going forward. Next slide. So the call to action is that I think there is this major generational technology change that is happening today, which will accelerate the adoption of digital technology. That is why Malaysia has this My Digital program to make sure that Malaysia becomes a competitive country, and that we want to actually lead in ASEAN going forward. And there will be more automation that will happen going forward. We need to be made aware of the future jobs and the skills required. So I think that's important. Also important for the education institution is to make sure that we prepare the next generation computer scientists with the requisite skills and experiences. So in this data hackathon that we are organizing throughout this whole month, The students and the faculty members will be exposed in using our latest cloud computing, machine learning, AI, Java programming, all those things I think will be made available to them. And the idea from this hackathon is to make sure that the students get that exposure going forward. Also, I believe, I think this is also engagement, I think, from the industry with the education and research institutions. And we believe, I think, hopefully more research institutions will also look at the impacts of automation to industries. There's always that balance that we need to work on. And hopefully, I think there will be more research on that moving forward. So that's all I wanted to share. If you have any questions, do let me know. Any questions so far? I will just pause here for a while. Any questions for me in terms of a bit on Oracle? If not, I will pass on the floor to Lokman Alwi. So he is actually from my team who's coordinating the whole hackathon. He came up with the whole concept and he will be working closely with UiTM going forward. I always like to embarrass Lokman, and I will do it again. Lokman is actually a MIT graduate of computer science many years ago. So sorry, Lokman, I'm going to embarrass you again. So you are MIT graduate. And he will share the high-level program for the UiTM-Oracle Data Hackathon. Go ahead, Lokman. Yeah. Next slide.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Vitri. Assalamualaikum and good morning. Next slide, Stephen. All right. I think this has been mentioned by Fitri earlier, okay, the objectives of this hackathon. So to me, in addition to these common objectives, independence, collaborative skills, research, etc., I think what is actually more important that we would like to achieve in this hackathon is to give exposure and experience to students in terms of what are the corporates and enterprises needs and requirements. How do corporates think? What are the practices, industry practices in terms of software development and systems integration, and also the exposure to use the latest commercial technologies and products. All right. Okay, next. Next, Stephen. All right. So to achieve that, we have come up with two challenges. The first one is what we call a fun challenge. This is open to individuals. So any student can participate in this. So the challenge is for a student to create a deepfake video clip, okay, which will require a source video and also a photo, and then they can actually do a superimposing of the photo to the video or animate the face according to the movements in the video. Okay, and they need to, or students need to put this video into a Dropbox like app that they will have to install and manage in the Oracle Cloud. So the requirement is for them to use the Oracle Cloud services, and to create this deepfake video, they will have to find a suitable deep learning algorithm, okay, and implement it in using our cloud services. Okay, next, Steven. Okay, the second challenge, which is a group challenge, is to create a smart city solution, a smart city application that solves any common problem in urban areas or even in rural areas. And this solution will have to use an image or object recognition technology. So the system will have to integrate multiple technologies such as IoT, AI/ML, analytics, autonomous systems, and of course Oracle Cloud technologies. Okay, so in terms of AI/ML, they will have to use the appropriate machine learning and deep learning algorithms to do the image and object recognition, and also to do forecasting and prediction. Okay, this solution will have to run in Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Okay, next, Stephen. Okay, so for the next 4 weeks, this is what will happen. Okay, for the fun challenge will run for 1 week, and the smart city challenge will run for 3 weeks. The judging and the closing ceremony will happen in the 4th week. Okay, simultaneously, we'll have a data camp, which is a series of technology trainings that will be provided to all the participants of these 2 challenges. So this data camp will be run by Oracle employees and also UiTM faculty members. Okay, in addition to that, we will be providing mentoring. So the mentor will also be coming from Oracle staffs and also UiTM lecturers. So there will be at least 3 official sessions per week that students will have to have a series of discussions with their mentors. Okay, so in addition to that, we'll also have a series of town hall sessions. So this will very likely be once a week, whereby all participants can meet up with all the mentors and additional Oracle staffs who will be able, hopefully, to assist and help the students in solving whatever technical issues that they may be facing that is beyond the sessions with the mentors. Okay, so we will also run a few advanced topics workshops. So the topics will be selected based on the common issues that the teams will be facing. So over the course of the mentoring sessions and the telephone sessions, so the mentors, which are from the Oracle and also the UiTM lecturers, will identify some common areas that will require additional guidance and trainings from the mentors. Okay, so these will be handled during the advanced topics workshops. Okay, so aside from this, I think in the background, the mentors, especially from Oracle and the UiTM lecturers, FSKM faculty members, will be having a series of discussions to actually see what else can we do from the learnings and from the experience of running this hackathon with the UiTM students. We'll see what else can we do in terms of future activities, such as the enhancements that we may want to incorporate into the Oracle Academy programs. Okay, we may be also scheduling a series of tech talks or industry talks and also career chats. So these are the activities that will be happening for the next 4 weeks. So this hackathon is a stepping board for UiTM, FSKM, and also Oracle to chart our next course of actions in terms of our collaborations. Okay, so back to you, Fitri.
Mr. Fitri, you are on mute. You are mute.
Okay, so thank you, Lokman. Also, I think just to share, I think these are sort of the awards and for both the fun and the team challenge. Also, I think there's some marketing merchandise. I think that will come very shortly to UiTM. I think to the participants. So hopefully, not only these things, but also important, I think, the certification, I think, in terms of your participation. So all that, I think we will work out, I think, with UiTM side. So any questions, I think, do post some in the chat, and then we can clarify. If not, let me, first of all, again, say a big thank you to all the faculty members in UiTM who made this possible. Also, thank you to our special speakers, I think, from MCMC and My Digital. I think thank you for supporting this event. With that, I will then invite Damien Haas to share the perspective from Oracle Academy. Thank you.
Thank you, Fitri. My name is Damien, and I look after the Oracle Academy program across the Asia Pacific. And it's a real pleasure. In fact, I'm indeed quite honoured to be part of this great event that has been organised in conjunction with Oracle Malaysia and, of course, your university. This is a terrific example of the sort of activity that can be undertaken with education institutions like yourselves. To the university executive, heads of school, deans, and to the academics, and of course all of you students attending today, I offer you a warm welcome from here in Australia. And I want to indeed thank you for all of the activity and collaboration that has occurred over a number of years now with UiTM as a valued Oracle Academy member, indeed since 2015. We've conducted a number of events since that membership was taken up. What I'd like to do over the next few minutes is just to talk a bit about Oracle Academy. And as you might appreciate, how the organization is evolving. And there's some news that I'd like to share with you before we actually formally kick off the hackathon. We did meet up earlier this year, of course, at a Faculty Day event, which was a great opportunity for us to be able to share again what the Oracle Academy program is all about. And as Fitri declared in his opening statements, Oracle is a very significant information technology industry player. And as part of that presence in the global market, Oracle has also looked to ensure that education institutions are given every opportunity to engage with the latest technology and then make that available to their students. So throughout your education as students, you are exposed to things that you will likely come across when you move out into the workforce. And the way Oracle does that is through the Oracle Academy. And we work with the country leadership like Fitri and Lokman that you've heard to look to help the respective institutions embrace the program and all of the things that we make available. And I'll talk about some of that in a moment. But I think what's really important here is that at the end of the day, we are doing this to support the student body, to support those students who are taking a keen interest in a degree or course of study, and indeed a career in computer science education. And importantly, what we do is to enable the faculty at the institutions to have access to the various things that we provide, to make sure that they feel comfortable with all of the offerings and benefits that we have, and how indeed to utilize them in the classroom for your students. Now, we've been doing that over the last few years, and you can see that we have had a number of professional development activities with your faculty already across Java and indeed database. And we look forward to further enablement and professional development of the faculty as we move forward, certainly in the use of the Oracle Cloud and in use of some of the other curriculum that I'll talk about in a moment. What's really important for us is that you feel as though you have an industry partner with you on your campus. And the UiTM is a very important education institution across Malaysia, and we are very proud to be part of that partnership to help you build the best curriculums and degrees and courses and capabilities for your students. Stephen, if we could go to the next slide, please. Now, as I mentioned, the program is, sorry, Stephen, have you got the next slide there for us? That's great, thank you. The program is fairly deep and fairly wide, and I'll endeavour to cover this slide as best I can. But if you look at the core benefits that we offer the university, all of the educators and faculty, and indeed for the students, are a range of benefits. And key to that benefit is not only the curriculum offerings that we provide, but also the necessary platforms for you to be able to leverage that curriculum. And importantly, as a very good example for this hackathon, we provide the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. as a free, indeed always free capability for the educators, for the university and the teaching and learning area, and importantly, for all of the students who are able to get their own free cloud accounts. Now, we offer professional development and training for the educators to make sure they feel comfortable with what they're using in these curriculum assets, but we also provide a whole range of other benefits, some of which have already been utilised around activities and events that the university can engage with Oracle. So you can consider the Oracle Academy relationship, if you like, as a window into Oracle, just as we're doing today in getting the support from Oracle Malaysia to help run this hackathon, but also exposure to some of the expertise that Oracle has in country. Now, on the right-hand side there, I've listed a number of the curriculum offerings that are available. And indeed, you've undertaken most of these with the Java and database learning, but we do have others. And it's going to be our job over the coming weeks and months to work with the university to see how can we help the university explore the value of these curriculums and assets and potentially make them available within your careers and courses going forward. Thank you, Stephen. One of the important advancements in the last 12 months from Oracle Academy is the availability of our member hub. And this is essentially the meeting place for anybody who wants to engage with the Oracle Academy program through their institution. So this is a place for you as educators to be able to visit, to discover, and to manage and organize any of the learnings and any of the assets and capabilities that are available to you through the program. Well, we call this the Member Hub, and you automatically get a sign-in to this hub once you become a registered faculty of your institution. And many of you are already starting to utilize this. But the hub is also available for you to pass on to your students. And the students can then discover all of the things that you've put together from the Oracle Academy program into the hub, and then they can utilize that themselves. But importantly, there will be a whole range of other things that the students may like to discover that inform them about working in the sector, how to approach a career in the information technology sector, and indeed how to find other potential activities and courses and certifications that they might like to do directly from things that Oracle is making available to them. Now, importantly, we call this part of the Member Hub the Career Centre, and very shortly, my colleague in Malaysia, Nurul Huda, will be working with you at UiTM to start to explore this particular capability further. We see this as being a really powerful tool for you to be able to utilize in really building the relationship you have with Oracle Academy. And Stephen, if we could go to the next slide, what I'd like to do is to just share with you that we have some upcoming imminent capability that we will be bringing to UiTM in the coming weeks. And in fact, later this month, we have a session with your faculty and deans talking about how we can discover the value of the program further within UiTM, including on the back of the work that's been going on with the hackathon. But importantly, we will be shortly releasing a new full curriculum. So this curriculum is on top of the Java and database curriculums that we have. And this curriculum is around Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Foundations. And this course could be incorporated into your university's courses for anybody who is interested in understanding the technology of cloud. Anybody who is interested in understanding how to develop services and applications in the cloud. And we look forward to bringing this full curriculum for you to utilize in the months and years ahead. I already mentioned the Career Centre, which you can find within the Member Hub. And as I said, this Career Centre will provide you with a range of assets and courses that both educators and students can access directly. And they come under various categories. But importantly, we'll also be making available part of a new free OCI Cloud Learning subscription that our colleagues at Oracle University are making available in the coming days. And these courses will be available directly to students. So the educators will be able to curate these courses for the students to access. And importantly, they will be accessing these utilizing the free cloud account that comes with you to you from Oracle Academy. Now, I look forward over the next 4 weeks on hearing feedback on how the hackathon is going, and indeed supporting the university, the faculty and the students with the access to the cloud environment. But I also look forward to moving forward with the university on how we can explore further value and help bring what you may need into your various courses and degrees. So Stephen, if we can go to the final slide. So on that, I thank you very much for allowing me to join you today on this important launch, on this important week and indeed a month that lies ahead for you. And I look forward to working with Nurul Huda, my colleague there in Malaysia, in working with the university on how we can discover other ways that we can support you in your teaching and learning endeavours. I wish you all the very best over the coming month, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much to Mr. Fitri Abdullah, Mr. Lukman, and Mr. Damian for the sharing just now. A little bit of recap of the speech that has been shared just now. Mr. Fitri talked about the objectives of the Data Hackathon, on which to engage with UiTM-Oracle Industrial Sharing Session, to leverage Oracle free account for the students, for team challenge to develop smart city, to I'm sorry. I hope that the participant can make use of that so that they are able to meet with the challenges and requirements for this competition. Now, we will go ahead and continue with the next speech. We are very lucky to have Ms. Hailey Hussein, the Senior Manager in Strategic Change Management Office for My Digital. A little introduction about Ms. Hailey. She is the Senior Manager at the Strategic Change Management Office in the Economic Planning Unit at Jabatan Perdana Menteri. She has been in the telecommunication in ICT industry, having been working in Telekom Malaysia and Axiata Group Berhad, where she has led strategic transformation and enterprise ICT business development initiatives that include data center and cloud strategy, IoT, smart cities, to name a few. Her last position prior to joining as CMO was the EDATCO Group, responsible for the strategic business development of next generation telecommunications technology, including Open RAN, fixed wireless access, edge computing, and metro fiber or fiber to the tower solutions across EDATCO's regional footprints in Malaysia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Cambodia, and Myanmar. It is my greatest pleasure to invite Ms. Hailey Hussein to give her speech.
Thank you, Afika. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hi, Professor Dr. Hajar Rozia Muhammad Jano, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Haryani Harun, Dean, Faculty of Computer and Mathematical Science, UiTM, and Encik Fitri Abdullah, Managing Director, Oracle Malaysia. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, adik-adik semua. Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Thank you so much for having us to be part of this esteemed event. I'm Hailey from the Strategic Change Management Office, My Digital, under the Economic Planning Unit here in Jabatan Perdana Menteri at Putrajaya. And together with me, who'll be joining me is actually Puan Yusminov and Puan Haryati. where we wish to provide you with an overview of the Malaysian digital economy blueprint and the National 4IR policy, its intention, strategy, and initiatives to really push our country, Malaysia, forward to be a digitally driven, high-income nation. Stephen, you can go to the next chart. Yes. Digital economy at the end of the day, what is it? It is actually the economic and social activities that involve the production and use of digital technology by individuals, businesses, and government. And we see this happening on a daily basis. With us ordering online food delivery, booking our Grab rides, and even when we pay for our goods and services with the use of our mobile handphones. And the advancements of digital technology, the expansion of high-speed internet connectivity are really changing the way goods and services are being created, distributed, and consumed, and of course, and how we interact. And the adoption of digital technologies in private sectors, such as manufacturing, services, or even agriculture, are essential to really increase, at the end of the day, the productivity and the growth. And at the end of the day, digital economy, leveraging on digital technologies, really boost efficiency and productivity, drive innovation, increase competitiveness, and the growth of a foreign country. And for us here in Malaysia, the government has been harnessing and been very committed in really transforming the country. And this journey actually started way back in 1996 with the establishment of the Multimedia Super Corridor. And over the years, various policies related to ICT and digitalization were developed and introduced to spur the economic growth for the country. And all of these policies play a role in embracing the digital economy, which proves the government commitment to really grow Malaysia forward. Next, please. Malaysia ranked 41 out of 180 countries in the Digital Adoption Index in 2016. It really indicates that digital technology has been widely adopted across the country. And over the last decade, we have expanded basic internet services, thus placing Malaysia as one of the top countries in the region in terms of adoption of digital technologies. And a lot of focus has been put forward to enhance further the infrastructure to connect people to the internet. So if I can bring in an example, the Jalinan Digital Negara, Jendela, have been formulated to provide wider coverage and better broadband experiences to all citizens of Malaysia. The phase one of this initiative are currently on track to achieve its target. We are really looking at improving or increasing the 4G mobile coverage, increasing the mobile broadband experience. I think today is roughly about 25 megabits per second to at least minimum of 35 megabits per second. Increasing the premise pass, 7.5 million to have fiber to the home, and as well as 5G deployment. And we are pleased to share that the commercial deployment for Putrajaya, Sabajaya, and Kuala Lumpur is actually targeted to be rolled out by Q4 this year. So with a much improved and stronger connectivity infrastructure, we're really targeting an increase further of e-commerce and business transactions, and as well as adoption of digital technologies by businesses, especially by the micro, small, medium enterprises. And all of these activities at the end of the day directly contribute to the growth of our digital economy. Next. As mentioned earlier, digital economy is really increasing, making its way in all aspects of our life, from the way businesses operate, to how we interact, and even on how government deliver public services. And we really do need to navigate through this changing global landscape, or the country and ourselves will be at risk of falling into a middle income trap. And countries are really, what we're seeing here is that countries all over the world are pursuing digital economy at varying speed and scope. And at the end of the day, they really want to increase the competitiveness of their economic situation. Taking case Thailand, for example, Thailand with Thailand 4.0 policy really crafted and designed to transform the country to be a value-based economy by using ICT as the driving force to create knowledge, creativity, innovation in goods and services. Singapore via its Smart Nation and digital government services, are driving digital transformation of the government. They built plans in building long-term capabilities and really active in promoting public and industry participation. And what we have experienced for the last 2 years or so with COVID, it raises further the importance of digital economy because it has become part of the strategy in building an economic resilience for a country. So that's why it is very important for us that we need to have, one, a digital first mindset, and really push for the higher digital technology adoption across all the sectors and the government here as well, the public sector. We need to build a more supportive ecosystem to support our local enterprises to become and to use digital technologies. We need to enhance and strengthen our telecommunication and broadband infra because that is actually the foundation of all of this digital initiative and digital and businesses and so forth. And I think it was mentioned by Encik Fitri earlier, we need to be ready to start to nurture a future-ready workforce with the right skills to fill up the gaps that's required today and tomorrow. Digital divide need to be narrowed, and here we're talking about among income groups or even between the rural and urban areas, for example, and as well as to build trust and ethics in using data and technology and really elevating our awareness on cybersecurity. Next chart, please. So in February, our Prime Minister had launched the My Digital Initiative as part of the government's plans to transform Malaysia into a digital-driven, high-income nation and a regional leader in digital economy. It contains strategies, initiatives, and implementation plan to ensure efforts are structured and coordinated toward this common vision. It is taking a whole-of-nation approach. So we're looking at increasing and a much more closer collaboration between us as the rakyat, private sectors, as well as the government. Next, please. And the blueprint is aligned to our national agenda. It is to be rolled out across 3 phases of implementation. The plan is actually from 2021 this year all the way up to 2030, really looking at realizing our vision so that Malaysia can be a regional leader in digital economy. And for us to achieve an inclusive, responsible, and sustainable socio-economic development, it's aligned with the overall national agenda, the Shared Prosperity Vision of 2030, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as the 12th Malaysian Plan. Next, please. And in realizing that vision, the blueprint aims to deliver 3 objectives supported by 6 trusts. One is really changing the way the government work and deliver its services to the rakyat. How do we upskill the digital literacy of our civil servants? How do we really create and updating the relevant regulatory or legal and governance framework so that it's in line with the changes in the technology? So that is actually one of the key trusts that need to be delivered. Number 2, how do we then boost economic competitiveness? How do we push for higher digital adoption by local companies? How do we become a regional market producers of digital product and services? And how do we position Malaysia as a highly attractive destination for digital economy related investment? The third trust is really looking at, and I think we mentioned this before, high quality and extensive access of digital infrastructure. It is actually the foundation of all our DE initiatives. The fourth one is talking about the digitalization of building agile and competent digital talent. And this is where digital knowledge, education and whatnot need to be embedded at all levels of schools, for human capital development, really looking at how do we upskill and reskill our workforce so that all of us will continue to remain competitive and be relevant. We need to create an inclusive digital society where every Malaysian can participate and benefit from the opportunities brought by digital economy. And lastly, as mentioned prior, is really looking at building trusted and secure and ethical digital environment that will instill confidence and trust for all of us. Next. And the targets at the end of the day are really looking, I think, for the Rakyat perspective, is creation of 500,000 new jobs. And we're looking at 100% of household with access to the internet and all students who have access to online learning. For businesses, we're looking at a contribution to the Malaysia GDP of 22.6%, creation of 8,735 of micro, small and medium enterprises. We need to really looking at how do we create and attract unicorns and increase the number of startups. So all of this new business model really looking at, a larger market for us to really inspire a lot more digital commercial activities. For the government, we are actually really looking at how we can further become a digital government, data-driven government, improve public service delivery. And here we're looking at targets of having 100% of our civil servants to possess digital literacy. We are using 80% of on cloud and looking at cashless payment. So these are some of the targets that has been outlined in the blueprint. Next, please. So there is another one. In July, the National 4IR policy was launched, and really at the end of the day, looking at increasing the country's readiness and the ability to seize the opportunities from the fourth industrial revolution. And the vision of this national policy framework is looking at achieving a balanced and responsible sustainable growth and aim to deliver by 2030 and improve quality of life by leveraging on technological advancement, looking at enhanced local capabilities to embrace 4IR across all sectors. And how do we then use all of these technologies to really, preserve and improve our environment, our ecological integrity? So there are certain sets of targets that has been outlined and planned to achieve by 2030. And we can go next. And the National 4IR policies has 4 trusts. It's actually for the society. It has been defined for the not for us, for the businesses and the government. And let me run through that with you. Number 1, you're talking about equipment, the Rakyat with 4IR knowledge and skill sets. Here, perhaps I can give you a few examples so that we would understand what does it really mean in terms of initiative. Looking at how can we establish an industry-led sectorial-based 4IR skill development centers. So that is actually one of the initiatives been locked in under this policy, under this framework. How do we enhance 4IR related courses in universities and vocational colleges, and also provide incentive for industries to reskill and upskilling their employees in the 4IR areas. So that is actually some of the flavor or example of initiative under Trust 1. The Trust 2 is really looking at how do we form a nation with connectivity through the development of digital infrastructure. Examples again, we're looking at establishing a 4IR innovation park. It can be established in a major industrial zone, focusing on 4IR technologies. This park should be designed to be 4IR ready. That means it has to have at least, a very strong and robust data infrastructure, 5G infrastructure to really spur the use of cloud computing, machine learning, AI, and so forth. The other initiative, which is already part of this policy, we're looking at how can we establish a 4IR digital marketplace for the underserved rural community, so that that have a richer digital functionality. So for example, the use of augmented reality, the AR and VR, for example, to create an immersive shopping experience. How can they leverage on big data analytics to get insights, so to understand what are the customer behavior and characteristics? What that means for them is that it allows rural small businesses to really grow their business, not just locally, but also be able to penetrate the global market. So that is actually the initiative and the vision and the targets that we have set. So that is a bit of flavor under trust too. Regulations are also quite important. Sorry, if you can go back. Technology changes so often. We need to future-proof our regulations to be agile with the technical changes. Framework, how do we regulate approach and governance is also quite critical to support our readiness. How do we build the trust in the society? How do you provide a conducive environment for innovation? So initiative and targets that have been set here is looking at, can we looking at enhancing existing personal data protection law, regulations and guidelines, and even, and I think also quite key is existing cybersecurity framework. If you're looking at smart cities, for example, using a lot of IoT sensors and IoT technologies, which pose potential security vulnerabilities. So the question here is that how do we ensure that we have an integrated and standardized and a secure IoT ecosystem to enable seamless of data so that we are able to achieve the target we set forth. And lastly, we're looking at accelerating innovation and adoption for IR. This initiative covers R&D, access to financing, incentive, and funding. Next. And they're all 16 strategies that has been mapped out and having the beneficiary groups across to the businesses, society, and the government. There's a lot more information available. You can download the policy from the web to understand it further. Next, please. And all of this initiative, the strategy, the trust are being supported by sectorial initiative across transportation and logistics, agriculture, manufacturing, wholesale, retail, trade, and so forth. And we have also really looking at anchoring 5 core technologies to build local capabilities in artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, cloud computing and big data analytics, as well as advanced materials and technologies. Next, please. So in the end, the digital economic blueprint and the 4IR policy are interdependent and mutually reinforcing. Both aim to really propel Malaysia to be digital driven, for us to become a high income nation and we be a regional leader in producing digital products and services. And all of this, if you go next, my last chart, is to ensure that the implementation of this initiative, because it actually cut across different ministries, different agencies, federal and state, looking at university, academias, private sectors and all, there is a set of governance structure that has been established. So there is actually a national digital economy, and for our council, it's actually being chaired by our Prime Minister. There's a steering committee chaired by the Minister and the Prime Minister Department Economy. And I am actually from the Street Change Management Office. And really, we are the secretariat to both the National Council, Digital Council, as well as the steering committee, looking at making sure we drive the change management, the program management in tracking the progress, and as well as be the conduit to really increase the collaboration between the various parties and the stakeholders, private and public, and the people as well. So that's all that I have. With this, once again, I thank you, and I'll welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. Should anyone have any questions regarding anything, just type your question in the chat box. So Muhaimin has a question. He asks, is it possible if those from Fund Challenge to gather among us and set up a new team for Smart City Challenge?
Yeah, I think that question is not for Ms. Hailey. I think it's more for Lokman. I think so. I think we let Lokman answer that. From my side, I think this is Fitri. Thank you, Ms. Hailey, I think for that overview of the My Digital and also the IR 4.0 blueprint. I think it gives a high-level overview in terms of the plans from the government to make sure that we have that program, and then how it's going to be the key trusts and how it's all going to be managed. I think it gives you a very important overview. And then clearly, I think from the education institution, I think, very important on the digital talent side. I think that's where I think it comes in. So maybe Ms. Hailey, now can you just share, I think, what are your perspective on for education institution like UiTM on what they should be doing for digital talent development as part of My Digital? Maybe Mike, one question for you from me.
Oh, that's tough questions. I would like to invite actually my colleague, Yus and Haryati, to also. So at the end of the day, universities like UiTM and the rest are very important stakeholders in driving and propel the country further. These are where our talents are, our future future knowledge, really looking at digital skills and really the innovators for the future. So with UiTM, and I think with the collaboration with Oracle, allowing and that opportunity to leverage on the latest platform and technology that Oracle has, and giving this opportunity to do hackathons, driving or innovating new use cases for smart cities or environmental challenges, or even for the enterprises use cases. I think all of this initiative and whatnot, at the end, they really are critical to increase that innovation and that potential of new services to be offered out there. And all this will directly contribute to the digital economy. If I may get if Yus, do you have anything to add, Yus and Haryati?
Hi. Okay, I'm Yus here.
On use, you forgot
Oh, okay.
to turn on your mic.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, we do have actually I put it in the chat. You want to disturb highly actually. We do have digital talent cluster specifically for even starting from preschool, and then we do have for school as well as until we reach tertiary educations, because we have to ensure that when you say that people, public and private, everyone needs to be sooner or later will have to be digitalized. You need to know, you need to be literate in IT and stuff like that. So we do have a cluster for that, and we do have initiative related, like for example, a good example is actually the Oracle Academy and institution like I think last time we actually participated in UNISA and now UiTM. These are good collaboration, because when you study during your degree or your diploma, you only get to see the theory part of it, but you don't have the practical side of it. So you have industries like, Oracle's, companies like Oracle's and others who actually participate in this kind of initiative. It gives, it's like eye opener and share all the, whether infra or any programs, that the students can actually leverage in those facilities. So digital talent is actually one of the key trusts. There's 6 of it, so it's one of it, digital talent. So that's my take on this. Respond to the question.
Okay, thanks, Puan Yusminov. Thank you, Ms. Hailey, I think for the session. I think thank you for that overview. I think it opens up a lot of eyes in terms of making sure that I think the country is committed to make sure that we have a very strong digital program going forward. Thank you for your participation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. And good luck on the hackathons.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we'll have a lot of fun. Thanks.
Thank you, Hailey. Thank you.
Thank you again, Miss Haley.
Ms.
Allow
Heli,
me to have this moment to remind the audience that we will be having a session to take a picture together at the end of this morning session. Thus, it is my advice to turn on your camera during that session. And if you haven't get ready or wear any makeup, I think there's still time to doll up yourself before the photo session. Moving on to the next speaker.
Okay, Afika, there is a question.
Mr. John Tay. He is the Director Enterprise Information System Department in Malaysia Communication and Multimedia Commission, MCMC. Mr. John has been with the Commission for the past 18 years. He has more than 30 years of experience in the ICT industry and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science from Oklahoma State University, USA, and MBA from Federation University, Australia. Mr. John has exposure in banking, aerospace, healthcare, oil and gas, IT services, and telecommunications industries. Mr. John has also worked overseas for many years in various industries. In MCMC, Mr. John is responsible for managing the enterprise-wide application needs. His previous roles are in promoting and facilitating smart city, Internet of Things, and MyMaker initiatives in collaboration with government agencies, industries, and academia to gear Malaysia towards the smart nation and fourth industry revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. John Tay from Malaysia Communications and Multimedia Commission to give us an insight into the digital assistant case study.
Thank you very much, Afika, for the introduction. Actually, for today's presentation, I got my partners here, Anand Akbar from from Oracle, Principal Cloud Architect, as well as JPEG. So without further ado, I will start my presentation. Can you all hear me clearly and the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. So basically, I will share a very brief MCMC case study using Oracle Digital Assistant. Okay, all right, let me start. So basically, this is the agenda that I will go through. Who is MCMC? One slide, very quick. What is digital transformation? I think just mentioned by Ms. Haley just now is quite interesting. I kind of like this slide. Then I will share a little bit about some of the use cases that we have done in MCMC. Example, Aduan complaint system, I guess it's very popular in almost any organization, especially if you are in the taking care of the services. Then Jendela, which is the next project that we are working on, which we will share with you. Anand will share with you the demo and the architecture as well. And what are the business challenges? What are the benefits? And then we will end with demo. So do put your question up on the chat if you have any. Okay, I just couldn't resist not showing this slide. Who is MCMC? Some of you might not know who is MCMC. Basically, we are the Malaysian Communication Multimedia Commission, a regulatory agency that regulates under the CMA, very important, CMA 1998. I think you probably see a lot in the press, in the news, for good reason or not. In Bahasa, we are known as Suruhanjaya Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia. Okay, SKMM. So 4 areas that I want to emphasize is I mentioned CMA just now, very common. You probably heard it a lot. The next one is the Postal Services Act. With the pandemic, PSA is getting more critical, in terms of quality of services. When you order something, did you get your parcel on time? If something happened to it, what are your channels to go through? So those are basically under the Postal Services Act. Okay. Then we have the Digital Signature Act. With the online, currently everybody is going online with the pandemic. It is basically a catalyst For us to move, I think the previous speaker mentioned about digital transformation or digitalization or digitization is very critical. I'll share with you one slide. Strategic Trade Act in 2010, that's very critical when it, good for those who are doing import or export. I will not spend too much time into the STA, but basically just to set the stage, CMA 1998 is very critical. Anything with communication, multimedia or internet is basically under the purview of MC. Yeah, okay. Talking about digital transformation, website, www. I think for those who are into www, then you will know all the early days of www back in 1991. I was very fortunate to be part of it, to be creating even my own, that was cool, then, so, and then came Mr. Late Steve Jobs, back in June 29, 2007. That is about, I think, what, 14 years or so. So the website has been around for exactly almost 30 years. So just imagine the transformation that we have went through. I think the latest one will be chatbot. Eliza was the first one. We have IDA today, which Anand will share a little bit more. In fact, I have experimented quite a few of the chatbot, Siri, most of you have, on your mobile phone, or you buy your own external devices. I have about 4 or 5 that I'm testing in different languages as well. So basically, you see, things have changed. You got to, especially the student, the next generation. I think you mentioned just now, I think it's quite interesting that student, you are the future of the country. You have to play a role. It's timely. Like to thanks Oracle and UiTM for the invitation this morning. Okay, go back to digital transformation. I think it's very critical. It has to be involved in all business ecosystems. It basically is the basic of our fundamental changes on how business get into digital transformation. The word that I like to use is 3D. I mentioned just now, digitization. You have a lot of paper processes, even in MCMC also, we are improving our processes as well. Going paperless with the current pandemic, all signatures, all paper, all approval will be automated. And then next comes into digitalization. I will not mention the Z and the Z and the S, so I will let you all figure it out. So, it's very critical if you want to get into the digital transformation journey. Digitalization is key. One challenges that you need to take is, even for us also, you need to be able to go for it. Get comfortable with failure. Challenge your status quo. If not, will be BAU or business as usual. You got to experiment. You fail, fine, come back and move on through the journey as what we have seen here. Okay, so chatbot, basically we have the version 1, basically it's one program, very simple. Some chatbot are very simple. Some could be single purpose, user initiated, or using AI, a little bit of AI at the end. But in terms of digital assistant from Oracle, is more complete and recommended to be able to take more than what chatbot can do. Basically, you can make your calendar, your booking, even you can order if you be able to program it using a little bit of AI, multi-purpose bot. Using AI to make prediction and recommendation. It can tell you what is your appointment next. Do your booking, hotel booking. Order goods and so on. So there's the sky's the limit. So basically, based on Gartner's 2021, 50% of companies are looking into chatbot. A lot of, very interesting, even for us also, when we first started also, we were thinking like, is this the way to go? Basically engaging your customer, know your customer, DIY, using whatever platform you have, text messages, chat, virtual assistant, websites, instant messengers, the good messengers are been around for many years. Basically to see how you can improve your operational efficiency. More important also, bringing down the costs. At the end of the day, taking care of your customer, internal and external customer. In this scenario, I mean, student as well, your registration, you know, and so on, or your external stakeholders. So how do you manage them? How do you be able to provide instant services, improve your services? Somebody asks a question, are they be able to get the answer right there and then, or they have to wait maybe 3-5 days? So those are some of the challenges. Allow companies to resolve their customer queries, you know, orders, issues, you know, without human intervention as much as possible. Based on another Gartner's information, 70% of white-collar workers has interacted, you know, using some sort of conversational platform on their daily basis. I mean, we use WhatsApp, you know, Telegram, you name it, you know. So we are already there. The platform is there. How do you maximize it in your area of your whether it's in the academia or in the industry, you know, how do you do that, or even in government as well? Okay, so basically from what on my research, digital assistant use cases are very, very critical in healthcare, human resources, even from the time someone want to apply, especially for student. How do you get online, you know, at 12 midnight to a website or to a chatbot to apply for a potential opening in XYZ companies, you know, customer services, you know, as 24/7. Look at Shopee, for example, airlines like AirAsia, you name it, insurance, you know, how do you able to do your transaction, you know, in the after office hour? E-commerce, I mentioned Shopee, you know, Lazada, you name it, Grab, you know, it's very critical platform where ecosystem must be there. Banking and finance, I think we cannot run away with it. We need to go to bank. We need to, cash in, cash out. Airlines, I mentioned just now. So those are some of the key, I would say, industry that has adopted well in using digital assistant. Okay. In coming back to MCMC, we had this complaint system that was hybrid, semi-manually, basically taking care of 3R, race, religion, royalty, complaints. The other one that I did not include because things have slightly changes is the networking. A network, basically, you know, if you have basically a slow connection, who do you complain? Okay, you know, then of course, SMS gambling scam are very, very famous in Malaysia. Fake profile, you know, in the internet world. The last one was COVID-19, you know, so basically those are the areas or categories that we have, that we do it, I say manually or semi-hybrid, you know, so but with the digital assistant, we have able to tackle some of the current issue. Like to mention a network as well. You know, you have I mean, today we are very lucky. We have the internet access. Of course, certain areas will have a little bit challenges. You know, especially like rural areas, or there's a blind spot in your respective. Could be in your house, in your office. You know, so sometimes that corner of that building might not be good due to it's not sometimes the network. It could be your wireless access, your devices, your notebook, a little bit old, or you have some older computer or Trojan on netboard or whatever on your computer that is slowing it down. So that there's many factors as well. So what do? You go to speed test out your speed. You know, this moment might be okay, but the next half an hour you might be slightly better or could be worse. So based on our adoption of the digital assistant, these are the traffic that we have got, and we see a lot of improvement. Basically, user public itself, they can complain. Basically, automatically without human. We used to have like 8 to 5. We have about 7 or 8 people on call, you know, so they will call, you know, but what is after 5 p.m.? You know, where do they complain? But with the digital assistant, this has helped us quite a lot. Yeah. Like some of the challenges that we have in our system will be response time. How fast can we respond? You know, like you mentioned just now, manpower. We had 7 or 8 people. You know, even sometimes on weekends we had to bring them on board because of certain critical issues that was raised in internet world. As you know, internet world are fake news especially. It could be like a wildfire. Sometimes we have to really come in and say, okay, make some statements. Human error on compilation. Once you have 100,000 type of calls every month or every day, maybe 10,000, it's not humanly possible to basically compile or respond back. So basically we have a back-end integration as well. Aging calculation is very critical to us. Some of our issue is when someone complains, how fast can the service provider, okay, we have changed some of the workflow. All calls to MCMC will be routed through the chatbot, through the service provider. Let's say you complain about Maxis, DG or TM, whatever, right? Those calls will be automated to the service provider. When I say service provider, it's like, like for example, if you're on Celcom, we will route your complaint to Celcom, and they are supposed to be the first level of support to address your question. Okay, when let's say after a certain time bomb, they did not able to get back to you, then that is where the consumer forum, we have another channel, level 2, consumer forum will pick up that calls. So if consumer forum still cannot resolve the issue, that's where MCMC will come in to mitigate the issue. So it's very challenging. We want to be able to see, track from the time the complaint or aduan is filed in, how fast can we turn around, get back to the consumer. So like say office hour is very limited. Well, how about weekend, public holiday, and so on. So those are some of our challenges comparing to the number of calls that we are getting each day. So the other project that we did was a Jendela portal. So we have two. Basically, we have the aduan, and then we have we found that it's quite useful. So we have adopted further integrate our Jendela. Jendela basically is a national digital infrastructure plan to see how we can provide better quality, a better comprehensive framework of infrastructure with high quality broadband coverage to all, to rakyat basically. So that's called Jendela or Windows in English. So basically the objective is to have a connectivity up to 9 million premises, 100 megabit per second mobile broadband speed, and 100% coverage in populated areas by 2025. So for Jendela map and the Jendela mobile apps, basically rakyat or public user can check your network coverage in your area. If you're not happy with it, you can submit feedback. Like I mentioned just now, all the feedback will be routed automatically to service provider for their action because they are your provider. Okay, so it's very critical to understand that. And best part is you can demand new services. Let's say, for example, you are in Shah Alam, your services, let's say, for example, XYZ is not so good. You can request for the other providers to come in to basically, so whatever feedback that you have submitted will be very good planning for the service providers. When I say service providers, you're talking about all the telcos, and so on. So basically that is the three key objective of the Jendela maps and Jendela mobiles that will be launched soon. Yeah. So basically this is how the Jendela portal will look like. You can access to it Jendela, but through jendela.my. On the right hand side here, we have AIDA, A-I-D-A. A lot of people ask me, what is AIDA from? Is somebody's name? Yeah, coincidentally, it sounds like a person name, but basically we have named it as Artificial Intelligent Digital Assistant. So it's kind of nice name that we found that, okay, maybe it's very suitable. So this is some of the menu. You can try it later on. Quick guide, we have the quick guide, check coverage. You can submit your feedback if your service is no good. You can check the status of the feedback, but not the individual feedback because the telco will get back to you. And then we have other information like Pusat Internet and so on. Okay, so basically for the Jendela mobile apps, these are the key features. Check coverage, submit feedback on the right hand side. We have the Menara D. Basically, let's say for example in the rural areas, where do you find the post office, the courier outlet, the delivery port, the depot, where the internet centers that you can access to it if you are in that area. Pusat Internet Community. I think for those who are familiar, basically we do provide a lot of internet connectivity for the community in that area. I think right now we have about 1,000 plus type of PIK, we call it Pusat Internet Community around Malaysia. So you name it. Mostly quite a lot in Sabah, Sarawak, due to the landscape, and so on. So we have the Jendela News, Jendela website, service provider. Basically, like mentioned, all feedbacks will be routed to them, and we have the feedback map. So you can see a number of feedback in your area, who are the providers, service providers, and the number of complaints that you might get. Before that, you do not have this opportunity. So that's one. Okay, so basically this is how the feedback map status. So you can see, the number of feedback. Up to this morning, I was told that we have about 15,000 feedback since we launched it on the 9th of July. So it's getting more and more as we open it up, through more marketing, more publicity, and so on. So basically, you can see what are the new complaints, whether it has been assigned, it's under investigation or pending or delay or resolved by the service provider. So public will have this information. So this is another look and feel of how the Jendela mobile apps, okay, very similar to the portal I shared with you just now. So basically you can see the post office, the mini post office, the community postman, the courier outlet. Let's say you want to send a parcel when you are in that rural areas, unless you ask the local community or people around that, they might not know, but through the mobile apps, you can basically check it yourself. So DIY. So our portal, or the mobile apps currently, you can access to jendela.my, I mentioned earlier. So up to 17 July, we had about 155,000 number of users. Page view about 300,000. Top visited page are like the home and then the map. The map is the one that I think Anand will share with you. So then we have the feedback status, most I mentioned about 14,000, but this morning I was informed that we reached to 15,000. So in terms of the chatbot, which is part of this forum, is we have about 21,000. I think it went up quite high this morning. I have not updated this, but up to around July, that is the number of transaction. So basically this has helped us a lot. In terms of some of the benefit is 24/7, 365. We do not have to have 7-8 call center people answering phone calls during office hour. Prevent customer from waiting too long. Quite sure you have called banks or you want to make some complaints. They will ask you, you are caller number 50. I think most likely you will hang up unless it's very critical. So basically through the chatbot, you can get most of the answer you want. So that's IDA here on the right hand side. So basically we also can leverage on the message platform. Platform is there. Basically there's so many type of platforms available. Generate a lot of leads, also useful information. What are the common complaints we can do on the back end side? We can have some sort of statistical information as well. Or where are the hotspots, complaint that we commonly receive. That's where it will help the service providers to basically do planning and execute or deploy their team at the right place and right time. Useful data I mentioned just now, very critical. Data is king. FAQ, we have all the common questions that they will mostly ask them, ask the call center. So those are all automated. They can get the answer through IDA, Ask IDA. So basically MCMC always forward looking, using modern technology like Oracle Digital Assistant. Of course, you can't run away with it if you want to move forward. I think you need to look into the cloud technology for you to be able to deploy and make changes, on the fly, without say, okay, system will be down for 1, 2, 3 days, or number of hours. So that is some of the benefits that we have enjoyed, based on the two applications. We are moving forward. We're looking into other applications as well. Okay, so I think that's all for my presentation this morning. Actually, it's quite long, but I've shortened it a little bit. So with that, I will pass the architecture sharing and demo to Anand. Over to you, Anand.
Thank you very much, Mr. John, for a wonderful presentation. And I must appreciate the vision and the measures which you have taken in MCMC for the digital transformation. I hope these digital transformation efforts will be useful for the whole Malaysia. So one question from the moderators, how much time do I have?
You have about 20 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes.
I think 10 minutes, Adnan. I think good enough, Adnan. And your voice not coming out strong, Adnan. Speak louder.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. So, right. So,
Then you want me to unshare the screen so you can take over the screen. Just 1 second.
Mr. John, can you please share the screen?
Give me 1 second. Okay.
Okay. Mr. John, the architecture diagram kindly share.
Okay, sorry. You want that diagram? Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, sorry, but you.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. Well, in my session, I will be covering two things. Number one, I will briefly explain the architecture. Second thing, which I will explain and show to you that how does it either board looks like. Now coming towards the architecture point of view, there are basically four things in the Oracle Digital Assistant. Number one is the channel configurator. Second one is the dialog flow. Number three is the enterprise integration. And fourth one is the artificial intelligence engine. And from this high level architecture diagram, you can see from the direction of the arrow, the data flow as well. If we move from the left side to the right side, you can see when the user from Malaysia or globally comes to the portal of Jandela or to the application of Jandela, then how the data is used to flow from there. Right. So what channel configurator does mean? We can configure multiple channels. For example, we can integrate the Oracle Digital Assistant with WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook Messenger. Currently, for this project, we have integrated the channel configurator with the Jandela portal, right? So we have configured the Web SDK. Second channel which we have configured is the mobile app. Mobile app is in the launching phase and approval process by MCMC. And what we have done for that mobile app, they have developed the application in Ionic platform. So our digital assistant can integrate with the third-party application development platforms as well. So we have integrated with their Android and iOS mobile both, right? So I will show to you in my demo as well. Second component is the dialog flow. In the dialog flow, we basically design the complete code of execution. The beauty in our digital assistant is that we use the NLP. NLP stands for natural language processing. How it is beneficial for this hackathon or the developers or for the quick rollout is that when we type in normal English language, right? So it automatically translates that input into the respective code, right? So it is called as the low-code application development platform, and it saves the time of development by the developers. And during this Jandela portal deployment, so we rolled out the complete project in only 6 weeks, right? So it was the beauty of this NLP and AI and machine learning that we were able to roll out quickly, and go-to time market was reduced. Third thing is enterprise integration. We have the complete suite of integration portfolio. For the current project, we have used different APIs to integrate with the Android, iOS, and the Jandela portal, right? So we have also done the GIS integration as well. In my demo, I will show you that how we have integrated the GIS and map into the digital assistant. Fourth component of digital assistant is the artificial intelligence. So whenever the customer use our digital assistant, the AI libraries, bundles are already integrated with that one. So these are the four components for the digital assistant. Now coming towards the overall solution. There are three components in the overall solution for this Jindela, right? First one is the ODA, Oracle Digital Assistant. Second component, based on the vision and the leadership of Mr. John and his management, they wanted that they should go for the state-of-the-art technology. So, you know, autonomous database is the Oracle's state-of-the-art and flagship data warehouse, and this is the world first autonomous database. So MCMC also deployed that autonomous DB. The beauty in that autonomous DB or data warehouse is that it can automatically scale up and scale down based on the workload rather than the manual configuration. When we say digital transformation, digital automation, it requires these kind of solution on the back end as well to automatically scale up and scale down the data warehousing solution accordingly. Third thing for the whole solution is the Oracle Generation 2 infrastructure, like they can store different type of multimedia over there. So these are the three main components. And for the analytics, they use the digital assistant existing inbuilt reports and dashboards for the analytics. So these are the three main components. Now coming towards the short demo, based on the limited time I have, I quickly go through. Mr. John, can you please unshare your screen?
Okay.
So that I share my screen.
Yep, all yours, the screen is yours.
Thank you, boss. All right. I hope, Mr. John, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Right. So Oracle Digital Assistant has native support for multiple languages. And if the language is not supported in the digital assistant, then we also have the feature of translation services as well. Currently, you can switch between Bhasha and English language. Currently, I have selected the English language. And thanks to Mr. John, he has given a very nice name to this avatar named as Aida. So we click over here and see what are the features which are available. So it has quick guide, we can check the coverage, we can submit the feedback, we can see the feedback status over there, PIK as Mr. John already mentioned, Minaric D and the IT help desk. So let's see how does it work. If we have to submit the feedback, then there are multiple options configured into that one. The first option is that we can enter our location. Second option is that we can ask the digital assistant to automatically pick up my location. Let's try this first option first, then I go to the second option. Okay, if I go to the entering the address manually, then you see a lot of time will be taken. I have to enter my house address, other details over there. It will take a lot of time. So what we have done over here to save the time and to provide the quick services to the citizens of Malaysia, we have integrated with the GIS as well. So if I select this use current location, you see it has automatically picked my latitude and longitude and location from the GIS, and it has been configured with the GIS. Okay, now I select what are the options available now. So we can submit complaints related to fixed broadband services like and cellular mobile operators and other services available. If I have any problem with my mobile operator, right? Okay, I go over there and you see the major telecom operators are available over here. if I am user of Cellcom and I have to submit a complaint for Cellcom, and I'm not satisfied with their coverage or services, then I will select what kind of problem currently I'm facing. Like in my area, I'm facing a problem of cellular call drop-off. Then I will select this one. You see, this is the main thing. This is my address, by the way, from where I'm conducting this demo, and I'm working from home since, and this is my current location. It has automatically picked up the location, so it has facilitated the user to reduce the time and give the input as much quickly as possible. If I confirm all of my credentials and other details, then the problem will be submitted to the digital assistant and to MCMC system and to the relevant law enforcement agencies accordingly. So they will take the necessary action accordingly. Now I give you another look in the rest of the 4 to 5 minutes that how does it look like on the mobile phone as well. So I unshare my screen from here, and kindly allow me to unshare my laptop screen. I will share my mobile screen to give you a real feel that how does it look like from the app. So kindly bear with me for a few seconds. So now I'm going to share my screen from the mobile. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes. It's not sure. Can you refresh it, Anand? It's not showing up.
Yeah, let me share it again. I hope the moderators can check. Do I have the rights to share?
Anand is not coming out, but I think we are running a bit over. I think we can stop here. I think Anand. I think.
Okay, perfect.
And maybe any last questions? I think from the floor. Yeah. Any questions for John or Anand? I think from the chat. Okay, I think if not, I think thank you. I think John and Adnan, I think for the sharing session. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, Puan Afrika, I think let's proceed. Okay, thank you.
So before I invite the next speaker, a little quick introduction about Mr. Francis Han. Mr. Francis Han has a total of 30 years in information technology experience across artificial intelligence, analytics, and office of finance domains. During the last 18 years in Oracle, Mr. Francis has assumed roles in consulting, pre-sales, sales, as well as technical leadership position, and he is currently the Senior Director responsible for Oracle Solution Center across the JPAC region and is a keen evangelist of cutting-edge technology deployed in various use cases in smart city solution. With much honor, I would like to invite Mr. Francis Han to deliver his speech.
All right. Thanks. Sorry, this is Francis, and thanks very much for inviting me for this session. I see that I'm running out of time. And let me, share my screen again. So what I'm going to do is that I'll jump across a few contents just to make use of whatever available time that I have between now and your lunch. So a quick background about myself. I've been doing AI analytics for some time now, and AI is one of my passionate areas, and that is one of the key pillars of smart cities. And so I mentioned earlier that I'll jump into some contents. Let me start with this thing about computer vision. The accuracy of this computer vision, and the fact that this whole thing about computer vision is what is driving the advancement of some of the smart solutions, especially in the smart cities that we see nowadays, right? And about more than 20 years ago, when I had conversations with some of the customers back then, one of the key discussions is always about the lack of accuracy coming from the cameras, right? And when you have low accuracy, you have less ability to ascertain what's going on around you, around the surrounding, and to make some decisions or to take actions, etc. Today, accuracy has gone up to 99-point-something%, because over the years you have the evolution of the various algorithms supporting deep learning to achieve that kind of accuracy, right? And so, and in terms of the various applications that the computer vision can apply, to do object recognition, detection, face recognition, etc., that translates into a lot of smart use cases, which I'll get into over here. Starting with, say, the smart parking. On the left of this screen, you will be able to see this tiny video that has got the white car that is going in and out of the lot, right? This is a multi-story car park. And overlooking this car park, we have a camera. And so this camera is what I talked about earlier, the computer vision. It's a vision that you give the computer such that the computer is able to see what's going on in the surrounding. In this case, the surrounding is the car park. And what we try to ascertain here is the lot availability for this car park. And this information is processed by the camera and at the edge, right? You all heard about the edge computing, where we process information at the edge. In this case, we are processing video images, right? So image by image, that is being processed by the algorithm. And what we try to do at the edge is to see whether the lots are available or not. And then from there, we translate this into numerical information. We send it to the cloud, to Oracle Cloud. And then Oracle Cloud updates the dashboard that you can see at the back of the screen. There's this big screen here on the right, right? You can see the dashboard showing the lots which are available that are green, and those which are not, which are red. So you can see the second lot is toggling between red and green, right? And so for this one car park, there is lot availability information. And so we can gather all the information around not just for this car park, but for other car parks in the area or in the region, right? So and when you are driving a car, right, like you see on the right, you can use your digital assistant, which was mentioned quite a few times in this session. Using the digital assistant, you can communicate with the system and ask questions like, where is the nearest car park, or where's the nearest car park for my electric car, right? And then you can be directed, you turn right 100 meters, go to your left, and that is where you can find the place to park your car, things like that. So this is, some of the smart solutions that's applied to areas like smart parking. And the next one, which I want to touch on, which is flood control. So in this use case, what we are seeing is, using a camera that's embedded in this housing block over here, and that is overlooking the canal bank. This is a simulated canal bank where we simulate the water level, and that the water level is detected right by the camera, and information is sent to the cloud, updated on the screen over here using the Oracle Analytics Cloud, right? From 0 to 1 to 2 and so on. So here we have a water level detection that is going on. Now, what we actually try to do is this. We apply the machine learning algorithm. In this case, we use naive Bayes. I think all of you know what naive Bayes is, to do a prediction, right? So we have inputs coming from not just the water level, but also the rainfall, the rate of water level rising, right? And applying this naive Bayes algorithm, we do a prediction and look at what's the probability of a flood that is going to happen. And then we take the necessary actions like informing the respective agencies, activate the floodgates, etc. Right? And that's how this whole array of the different Oracle solutions come into the picture, right, to solve this problem. And then next one, which is smart street lighting. Now, smart street lighting is not very complex, right? What you do is to do some object detection. In this case, we detect humans and cars, and when you have the presence of humans or cars, you turn on the light, right? And the light can be turned on as long as this human is standing there. And as opposed to motion detection, when you get into a meeting room, the moment you stop moving for, say, a few minutes, the lights turn off, right? So that's the difference. Now, in many places, in many governments are also trying to use the same platform, there's smart street lighting, to have other things on the same platform, right? Like environmental sensors, or using the cameras to look out for other things other than controlling the lights. It could be making sure that the people are using the pavements correctly, no illegal use of PMDs on the pavements, and also there could be sensors to check the speed of the vehicles around the area, things like that. So multiple sensors being deployed on this street lighting platform. So that is something that governments are doing. And in this case, smart traffic light. So what we have here is the camera that is embedded in this building over here, overlooking this junction. When a pedestrian were to appear over here and starting to cross this junction, right? And also there's the car appearing at the junction. This camera works in tandem with the algorithm, right? Feeding in images like this and working with the algorithm to work out what is the best mechanism, in terms of turning the lights green for the pedestrian or red for the cars, etc. So with that, you will be able to very intelligently control this lightings, so that you can ensure the safety of the pedestrians, as well as ensure the smoothness of the traffic in this junction. And not just for this junction, but for the other junctions and all the junctions together in one region, right? So that's how you can augment the safety of the pedestrians and also the smoothness of the traffic in the area. Next one, this is intruder detection. So this is having two different technologies coming together. What I have over here is a background subtraction technique that is used to detect intruders. So normally when there is no intruder, this screen is pitch dark. Yes. And then when a human appears or some moving object appears in front of the camera, that will trigger a second algorithm to kick in, and that's to do face detection, right? So you can detect the intruder and recognize the face, and then alert the authorities. So that is important in certain areas which are restricted in terms of access. And over here I have this whole concept around digital twin applied to the robotics world. So what's happening over here is that we use the digital twin to train the drone, right? So this drone is a software drone and flying in the digital environment. And in this environment, you can see that we have the red rectangles, right? So the good thing about digital twin is that you not only can simulate the environment, you can also simulate all the sensors, right, in this digital environment. Now, there is one sensor on this digital drone, and that's the camera. The camera is a forward-looking camera with a certain FOV to see certain view in front of the drone. Now, taking in this FOV image by image, the algorithm is able to process now what's going on in front of the drone. Now, the algorithm will be able to tell that the red rectangle is of certain distance, certain orientation, and based on that, I should fire, the control vectors for the drone to fly this drone in XYZ, right? And yaw. So it's XYZ plus yaw, right? So that you can control this drone in the way that you want, right? Towards and into each of this red rectangle. Now this goes through thousands of iterations, right? And you can imagine each image is of certain data size, and it's a huge data size, right? If you look at it, and you're processing this, so many times per second, and for so many seconds, right? And for so many thousands of iterations, you need something like a deep learning algorithm running in, on GPU, right? Not just CPU, but GPU, to be able to sustain that kind of requirements for the resources, right? The memory, etc., right? So after thousands of rounds of training, this digital drone gets trained and is able to recognize the red rectangles, able to fire the control vectors, or able to fly the drone accordingly, right? So you apply this model that is trained to the physical drone that is on the right, right? So in this case, I took this drone to a basketball court, right? And then with the physical red rectangles, I can have the drone taking off and fly through all these red rectangles on its own, no control, right? So this autonomous drone. So what we see here is a digital twin training a robot, right, to navigate on its own. And it can do much more than this, right? You can apply this to situations whereby a robot can be trained to navigate, to take decisions, actions, etc., in a real world. And this can be used for rescue missions, can be used for many other use cases in the real world, right? Let me use this slide to sum up, a few things here. Now, this Oracle is more than a database company, right? As you can see, you heard of some of the solution components along the way, so here we have this whole array of the different segments of solutions coming in between the data source and the user touch point. In a typical smart city solution, you will have a data source taking in data. The data can be a one-dimensional data, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, right? Depending on whether you have just a signal coming in, can be a vibration signal that tells you that maybe the train track is not sounding correct. You got to take the train for repair or maintenance. Or it could be two-dimensional, it's just a picture, right? Image. And based on image, you can ascertain that there are some anomalies and you take decisions from there. Or three-dimensional, right? Which is video. That's how you process it differently, and you have a lot more bandwidth to deal with. So Oracle, has got all these segments of solutions to deal with data preparation, to train the algorithm, to train the model, right? For deep learning training and so on, and to do classifications, predictions, whatsoever, process information, take actions, right? And transmitting from edge to cloud in our Oracle data center. Aggregate all these results and save them in the autonomous database. So by the way, the database that I used in the earlier use cases was the autonomous database, autonomous transaction database. And here and next, you can share this some of this data with open data platform if you want, right? And we have things like blockchain to support you if required. And then you have the human machine interaction, right? Where this chatbot comes in along with the NLP. You heard of the NLP earlier. And you can do text to speech, speech to text, especially when you're driving. You don't want to be keying in a question. You can convert the speech to text. And then you have the front end you saw earlier, right? That shows you charts and a web portal, maps, and whatsoever. All the meshing of the various information coming together on one screen, right? And on the left here, you can see we have two segments over here. Even before the data source, right? You can do digital twin simulation, and we have also the ability for you to manage the devices, etc. Right? So this is a quick summary of what Oracle is capable of, and much more, right? So I will stop here, and I'll take any questions from the chat or whichever other opportunity going forward. Thanks.
Okay. Francis, there are two questions for you in the chat.
Okay. Okay, so the first question is, to achieve accuracy in detection, is it important to look at the choice of detection algorithm or selective parameters like size of data, multiple sensors? Right. So the question is about how best you can achieve accuracy, right? Now, to answer this question, I think we need to look at multiple aspects of things. And if in the real world there are problems like occlusion, right? And you have bad weather, things like that. So that's where you have multiple sensors coming in to deal with all these problems. And for occlusion, you have some techniques, and sometimes many times you use multiple cameras, right? And then to increase the accuracy, that's where algorithm, comes in super useful, because that's where you look at what sort of deep learning algorithm to use, right? And more layers better, and what technique you use to mitigate the problems with deeper layers of this algorithm, things like that. So you need to think of all those things, right? And also in terms of how often you process the image frames in the video stream, that is also very, very important, because in a real world, the camera will give you so many images per second. Are you going to take every image and process them, right? Or are you going to skip, many of these images, right? Because that will be a trade-off between your the ability to process efficiently, and also the ability to process responsively, right? So that you are able to deal with things like latency, bandwidth, etc. And that's where things like 5G comes in super useful, right? You recall earlier I showed you regarding the drone. Now this drone was processing at I think 2 images per second, right? So even at that rate, I was facing a lot of problem, because if you're working at 1 or 2 images per second, you have very little there's a leeway to make adjustments. If let's say you make certain mistakes during the course of a flight. But if you have a more granular what they call this processing of images, then you are able to make the little adjustments here and there, and the drone will fly extremely smoothly. And that's where again the 5G comes in very useful. So when I talk to some of the customers out there talking about the 5G use cases, oftentimes it's always about the video data, right? That's where you have high bandwidth, low latency, things like that. So I'm answering more than the question, which is about accuracy, but I hope that I've given you a good response in terms of this things like accuracy and what to look out for. I hope that's sorry. I think another question is, if the street lights are turned on people detection, how about animals, machine, like drones? So the thing is this, the algorithms, right? I mean, nowadays they are very advanced, right? You can detect for anything, or you can detect for specific things. And you can use some pre-built libraries, the COCO database, which has 400,000 objects in the libraries, or you can use whatever means, right, to detect certain objects. So the choice is yours, and so that is that boils down to what sort of algorithm you use, and how you detect the objects. Okay, so I hope that answers the question broadly, but I'm happy to answer more after this session.
All right. I think we have already come to the end of our this morning session. On behalf of the event community, I would like to apologize for any mistakes or inconvenience to our session. Before we end our session, let's have a session of photo with everyone turn on their camera. I think everyone has turned on their camera. Okay. Thank you so much for the speakers and audience for your time this morning. So I end this morning session with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah, thank you all speakers. Thank you very much. And good luck to all the participants going forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.